Yeah, slug. Yes, our number 2 is busy engaging over. Hey. No!
Well, the quest to find a lasting solution to the conflict in Eastern DRC is getting more complex by the day. And this is because today, the 13th of March 2025, there was a summit that was held by SADC heads of state that reached the conclusion that the SAMIDRC mission that is assisting the Congolese government to fight the insurgency in Eastern DRC should be terminated. Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss the exact resolutions that were reached upon by the heads of state in that particular summit, as well as I'm also going to talk about what that means now going forward to the conflict in Eastern DRC and the fact that now the head of state in DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, has agreed to talks with the M23. Well, this is bona fide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on the DRC crisis, you get notified as soon as possible. Well, it is now official that the SAMIDRC mission in Eastern DRC has officially been terminated. And this is coming just a month after the heavy losses that the SAMIDRC troops had in Goma, in the Battle of Goma with the M23. That is the same battle that 14 of the South African National Defense troops lost their lives, as well as other troops from different countries that are contributing in the SAMIDRC. Now, according to point 10 of the resolutions that were agreed by the SADC heads of state, it read that the summit terminated the mandate of SAMIDRC and directed the commencement of a first withdrawal of SAMIDRC troops from the DRC. Now, if you remember quite well and have been following what has been happening in Eastern DRC, you will realize that most of the countries that have contributed troops in Eastern DRC, for example, South Africa that has contributed quite a number of troops to serve as part of the SAMIDRC, have been encircled and are trapped in Goma. We are talking about 1,000 to 2,000 troops that have been trapped in Goma and surrounded by the M23. And this has been the leverage by the M23 that you should take your troops out of our territory and out of DRC first before anything else. And perhaps this is the script that the SADC countries have been reading, because if you have quite a number of your troops guarded and surrounded by the so-called enemy, then you don't have much of an option but to withdraw from their territory. But it goes even further, because they are not only withdrawing from their territories, we are talking about the full termination of the SAMIDRC mission. If you remember quite well, the East African Regional Force was in DRC before the SAMIDRC. And Felix Tshisekedi was the one who was saying that the East African Regional Force is not assisting because they are not fighting the M23. He said that the East African Regional Force is standing in between, they are creating a buffer zone, but they are not fighting the M23 as he wanted. But the East African Regional Force responded that it is during their tenure that about 53 militia had a ceasefire and there was no fighting in Eastern DRC. But that was not listened to by Felix Tshisekedi, and he said that the East African Regional Force should vacate from the DRC because they were not helping in fighting the M23. Then after that, we had now the SAMIDRC. He looked south and got the mandate of the SAMIDRC to help in fighting the M23 as he wanted. But that has not borne fruit, as today the M23 has grown even larger. It has taken even more territory than ever before, and it is even speaking about going all the way to Kinshasa. And as the DRC is a member of SADC as well as a member of the East Africa community, the DRC, perhaps the government of Kinshasa, is not very happy with the conclusions that have been made by the SAMIDRC to withdraw from the country. And perhaps this is now what pushed Tshisekedi to opt for negotiations with the M23, even though he previously said that he will never negotiate or talk with the M23 in any manner. But we saw a change of tone that even in the last video, it was surprising that I said that it is not like Felix Tshisekedi that he will agree to have talks with the M23. But it seems as if the withdrawal of the members or the phasing out of the SAMIDRC has caught him on a back foot. And now what Felix Tshisekedi can do is simply to go to the table and negotiate with the M23 as his own people. And it is also important to note that point 13 in that resolution stated that it proposed a need for a political and diplomatic solution with all parties, including state and non-state parties, military and non-military in Eastern DRC for peace. That means that now the SADC region is proposing that there should be talks between the Congolese government and the M23 and not excluding even the countries that are directly affected or directly influencing what is happening in Eastern DRC. And here we're talking about Burundi and Rwanda. When it says state and non-state, that means that there are states that are involved in this as well as non-state actors, for example, the M23 and other militia that are also very much involved in what is going on in Eastern DRC. And it went further to also say that the Congolese government should consider the Nairobi and the Luanda processes in making sure that there is harmony in Eastern DRC. And clearly, we have seen that Felix Tshisekedi is preferring the Luanda process. That is why just 2 days ago, he said that he met the president of Angola and that he was ready for the talks between him and the M23. And well, as that is going on, we've seen Felix Tshisekedi employing different tactics to get the attention of other countries to assist him in the fight against the insurgency in Eastern DRC. It seems as if the sanctions have not really worked as Felix Tshisekedi would like against Rwanda to deter the growth of the M23. It seems as if the international support is not coming as he wanted so that it can curtail the spread of the M23. And now he has also been going to get allies, for example, the US, to get an ally as the US to have partnerships and mineral security deal so that he can safeguard what is happening in Eastern DRC, so that he can safeguard his territory and ward off the M23. He has also been approaching other countries, for example, Chad, to assist him in fighting the insurgency in Eastern DRC. It seems as if he knew before that the SADC members will withdraw because of what happened in Goma, the Battle of Goma, because they were encircled and they did not have much of an option than to withdraw and make sure that their forces are back home safe. And the local politics have also affected this. For example, the South African politics. Many people have said in South Africa that their troops should not be in the DRC fighting for the DRC government in a war that they are not involved. And they say that their troops should be back at home to safeguard their territory. So these are the politics that have also influenced the decisions that have been made by the SADC members to withdraw or terminate the SAMIDRC mission in Eastern DRC, as well as, you remember, Malawi withdrew long time ago after that battle in Goma, and other countries. Tanzania has not been very up to it, and other countries have also not been supportive of that particular mission. Right now, they say that they will support the DRC, but it is not as solid as having your troops on the ground to fight against the M23 in Eastern DRC. And while the date for the negotiations has already been set, it will be very interesting to find out what these two parties will have as negotiations, what the M23 will demand, as well as what the Congolese government through Felix Tshisekedi will demand, because both of these stands are very hard and it will be very difficult to come at a middle ground between these two parties. But it will be interesting to find out what these negotiations will be about. And here at Bonafide, I will keep you updated of everything that is happening in Eastern DRC.